this wall separated, you know the wall. You have heard of the wall? Okay. So he launched this kind of discourse among artists, which was very, very, very critically received, of course, and people thought he was some sort of heretic. But then I became interested in, as you know, this was an opening to me. It was an opening to someone interested in economics, someone interested in management, that is how you act in an economy. By the way, I think this is the definition we are sharing in this Nurope group, is management is about how you act in action. It's action. Economics is, you know, look outside, fantastic, you have a bird's eye view, or you're a little lower down and sniff with your aeroplane, and you're a microeconomist, or you go boom up with a balloon or a rocket and become a macroeconomist, but you never touch ground in a sense. Huh? But when you start touching ground, and when you get down really on in the boo-boo of reality, then you become confused. You have to face things that what is it to act without really knowing where you are, and so on and so forth. So this was my situation. What did I do? And I will what I want to share with you in my trip, so to speak, to try to understand afterwards, because like in art, you get a kick, you get a gut sort of feeling. You get. It's like whatever that is interesting in life. You meet someone, and then 25 years later, you find yourself sitting in front of that person, wondering how come I live with this person, you know, and you still can't really answer why. Huh? But you try to understand and patch together, and when you have the picture complete, you probably die or something like that. Huh? After a happy life, I must add. Huh? Anyway, so it was how was and what was happening. I was using this Joseph Beuys and the false Joseph Beuys, Johannes Stüttgen experience, to sort of crawl back a little bit in the history. I found out that Joseph Beuys, which you may know, Joseph Beuys was extremely influenced by someone called Rudolf Steiner. So Joseph Beuys was influenced by what you call the anthroposophic movement. Okay. But Joseph Beuys was a difficult anthroposophist. He was not going to Dornach regularly in Switzerland to pray to the chapel of Rudolf Steiner. He didn't sort of recite the books of Rudolf Steiner, because God knows this is also a chapel. He did not do the kind of drawings that one should do as a Rudolf Steinerian, etc., etc. And he did his own thing, but sort of light. It was Steiner light, you can say, influenced by Steiner and Steinerians. Okay. The important thing, however, for me, and the discovery I'm going to tell you about, is also conditioned by the fact that I come from a country called Sweden. I will tell you why that is important. You probably discovered it by yourself. Anyway, I found this Steiner man. Okay, so I run to the library, as we do. This is our privilege at the university to read. We go to the library, pick up the Steiner books and see what is Steiner. Rudolf Steiner, he was extremely fascinated by Goethe. Okay. Goethe. Kennen Sie Goethe? Leider nicht persönlich, aber Und Goethe, of course, was the theme of Steiner's Doktorarbeit. Steiner wrote about other guys as well. He wrote about the popular philosophy in his time and in his place, in Vienna and in Austria and in Germany. He wrote about Nietzsche, but his basic kind of contact with philosophy was through Goethe. Now, when I was into that kind of personal trip of trying to understand what the hell this kind of man with a fence tattoo and the choke, and how you can come to Kunstis Kapital, and how you could do that into management, and blah, 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 I happened to run into some guys from this university Mark comes from. And they were good German students, so they had a study group, Lesekreis or something. And said, come to our house and sit down and study with us. We're reading a funny little book, maybe you want. And I was there for a lecture, because I was lecturing there now and then. I went then with them, and we sat down at a table with our beer wine or Apfelsaft, and studied a little tiny book. And this little tiny book, as far as I understand, they were studying for 1 year. And I got interested, what is this little tiny book? I took it, I went home, I went to the library, I found out it was translated into Swedish, which, by the way, is a kind of Plattdeutsch. Swedish is a simple form of German. It is a simplified Sweden. I wouldn't say that. I mean, this we could discuss with the future cultural policy. To what extent one should take this seriously? But is Sweden also simplified Germany, or is just Swedish only simplified German? Anyway, so I went there and found out that the book in question was, of course, translated, and a new translation was coming out. I got into that book, and I was completely fascinated by what? I was fascinated by this little book because it reminded me of the management books. Now, I once went, this is not so flattering comment, but I once went with, you know, as we usually do, we write big fat manuscripts and then we go to the publisher. We knock at the door, and in my case, I dare say, I have to knock at many doors before they open up and even let me in. And I was once in New York, knocked at the publisher's door and came with one little manuscript, sat down, described what it was, and the guy raised his eyes. He was a big, heavy fellow, you know, looked at me and said, "Aha, it's a chicken soup book." I didn't know what a chicken soup book, but I knew that when I read this, Schillers, Georg Friedrich Schillers, Briefe zur ästhetische Erziehung des Menschen. That was a really nice management chicken soup book. I had it, fantastic. What is a chicken soup book? Well, it's a condensed, it's Reader's Digest, okay? You get in condensed form a management summary if you want. In condensed form, you get the thoughts that are usually in big fat books. I know, because later on I started to doubt. Stupid thing, it cost me 3 years. I started to doubt. I had to go to the original. What was the original? Well, the original was really a big fat book. It was a big fat third critique by Immanuel Kant. And what Schiller did, and he explicitly wrote that in the beginning of the book, said, "Hey guys, I am going to give you the latest news of Immanuel Kant. You don't have to read it yourselves. Read my book, and you get the core, you get the message." Huh? So what did he do there? Well, so I was again this fantastic lecture, Bach, Steiner, Goethe, meeting some guys in Witten, seminar, sitting down reading Schiller, and of course Goethe and Schiller, some kind of relationship, mentor relationship or something like that. We're reading Schiller, and that pointed me back to what? Well, to Immanuel Kant. So there I was. And luckily enough, I had a tenured chair in Stockholm. I could spend a couple of years, or did it even earlier, when I also had very good position. This is very good. You should all go to university, and that's why we have a nomadic university. This is a fantastic way of sort of finding out why you like some things intuitively and stuff like that. You may say that it's not worthwhile, but I think it was fun. So I went to Kant, and had a look at Kant, and had a look at Schiller. So what is Schiller saying? Schiller is giving a management model. It is a management model. I can't realize that only the guys in Witten-Herdecke were reading that management model. Well, actually, some of the guys sitting at the table in Witten-Herdecke are now working as very successful managers. I don't think you were at the table, but you are still a successful manager. Others are successful consultants, and some may have gone into academics, but they were sort of inspired by that kind of discussion in the book. And what he does, he gives us really a model. He draws, he tells us the following things. That, hey,